Frederick Anthony Picariello Jr., born December 4, 1936, known as Freddy Cannon, is an American rock and roll singer, whose biggest international hits included Tallahassee Lassie, Way Down Yonder in New Orleans, and Palisades Park. Biography. Freddy Picariello was born in Revere, Massachusetts, moving to the neighboring city of Lynn as a child. His father worked as a truck driver and also played trumpet and sang in local bands. Freddy grew up listening to the rhythm and blues music of Big Joe Turner, Buddy Johnson and others on the radio, and learned to play guitar. After attending Lynn Vocation High School, he made his recording debut as a singer in 1958, singing and playing rhythm guitar on a single, Cha Cha Do, by the Spindrifts, which became a local hit. He had also played lead guitar on a session for an R&B vocal group, the G Clefs, whose record, Ka Ding Dong, made No. 24 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1956. At a young age he joined the National Guard, took a job driving a truck, married, and became a father. Inspired musically by Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley and Little Richard, he formed his own group, Freddie Carmen and the Hurricanes, which became increasingly popular in the Boston area, and began to develop a trademark strained singing style. He also became a regular on a local TV dance show, Boston Ballroom, and, in 1958, signed up to a management contract with Boston disc jockey Jack McDermott. With lyrics written by his mother, he prepared a new song which he called Rock and Roll Baby, and produced a demo which McDermott took to the writing and production team of Bob Crew and Frank Slay. They rearranged the song and rewrote the lyrics, and offered to produce a recording in return for 2/3 of the composing credits. The first recording of the song, now titled Tallahassee Lassie, with a guitar solo by session musician Kenny Paulson, was rejected by several record companies, but was then heard by TV presenter Dick Clark, who part-owned Swan Records in Philadelphia. Clark suggested that the song be re-edited and overdubbed to add excitement, by highlighting the pounding bass drum sound and adding hand claps and Freddy's cries of "woo" quote, which later became one of his trademarks. The single was finally released by Swan Records, with the company president, Bernie Binnick, suggesting Freddy's new stage name of Freddy Cannon. After being promoted and becoming successful in Boston and Philadelphia, the single gradually received national airplay. In 1959, it peaked at No. 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming the first of his 22 songs to appear on the Billboard chart, and also reached No. 13 on the R&B singles chart. In the UK, where his early records were issued on the Top Rank label, it reached No. 17. Tallahassee Lassie sold over 1 million copies, and was awarded a gold disc by the RIAA. He stayed on the Swan label with producer Frank Slay for the next 5 years, and became known as Freddie "Boom Boom" Cannon, for the thumping power of his recordings. Dick Clark brought to him national exposure through his numerous appearances on his television program, American Bandstand, a record of 110 appearances in total. In the words of writer Cub Coda, Freddy Cannon was a true believer, a rocker to the bone. Freddy Cannon made rock and roll records, great noisy rock and roll records, and all of them were infused with a gigantic drum beat that was an automatic invitation to shake it. On Down Any Place there was a spot to dance. His second single, Okefenokee, credited to Freddy Cannon, as were several of his other records, only made No. 43 on the charts. But the next record, Way Down Yonder in New Orleans, a rocked-up version of a 1922 song, became a gold record and reached No. 3 in the pop charts in both the US and the UK, where it was the biggest of his hits. It also sold over 1 million copies. Cannon toured in Britain, and in March 1960 his album, The Explosive Freddy Cannon, became the first album by a rock and roll singer to top the UK albums chart for the next 2 years. Until early 1962, he continued to have lesser chart hits in the US, in some cases with versions of old standards including Chattanooga Shoeshine Boy and Edward Kid, or East Muskrat Ramble. His hits also included Twistin' All Night Long, recorded with Danny and the Juniors and also featuring Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons on backing vocals. However, one of his biggest hits came in May 1962 with Palisades Park, written by future TV Gong Show host Chuck Barris, produced by Slay with overdubbed roller coaster sound effects. It reached No. 3 on the Hot 100, No. 15 on the R&B chart, and No. 20 in the UK. This release also sold over 1 million copies, gaining gold disc status. Cannon also appeared with Bobby V, Johnny Tillotson and others in the movie Just for Fun, made in the UK in 1962. Although his popularity in the US faded, he remained a popular touring act in Britain and elsewhere in the world for some years. In 1963, he signed for Warner Brothers Records, where he recorded his last 2 US top 20 hits, Abigail Beecher, No. 16, in 1964, and the following year, Action, No. 13, from Dick Clark's TV show Where the Action Is, which he recorded with top Los Angeles session musicians including Leon Russell, James Burton, Glenn Campbell, and David Gates. Action got Cannon his 4th gold disc. Also in 1965, Slay acquired Cannon's Swan recordings and sold them to Warner Brothers. He appeared, along with the Beau Brummels, in Village of the Giants, a teen movie with early film appearances by Beau Bridges and Ron Howard, and played himself, and performed one of his songs, in the final episode of the teen soap opera, Never Too Young, on the 24th of June 1966. After leaving Warner Brothers Records in 1967, Cannon released singles on several labels, including Sire, Royal American, Metro Media, MCA, Andy, Claridge, Horn, and Amherst. In the 1970s he recorded and became a promotional man for Buddha Records, but returned to the lower reaches of the charts in 1981 with Let's Put the Fun Back In Rock and Roll, recorded with the Belmonts for Maya Sound Records, and in 1982 appeared in the independent movie, The Junkman. Thereafter, he continued to work with Dick Clark at his bandstand reunion concerts, and to tour all over the world. In 2002, he released an album of seasonal songs, Have a Boom Boom Christmas. A resident of Tarzana, California, Cannon continues to put on performances at assorted concert venues. He has complete control and ownership of his Swan and Warner Brothers masters. One notable fan of Cannon's was the late Box Tops and Big Star singer Alex Chilton, who reportedly had a portrait of Cannon hanging on the wall of his home in New Orleans, and had once offered the following comment about Cannon to a friend: Freddy Cannon's shows always worked, because he moved through life with ease. Discography, singles, albums. The Explosive Freddy Cannon, 1960. Swan 502. UK number 1. Freddy Cannon's Solid Gold Hits, 1961. Swan 505. Freddy Cannon Sings Happy Shades of Blue, 1962. Swan 504. Palisades Park, 1962. Swan 507. Bang On, 1963. Stateside Records SL 10013. European release of Palisades Park. Freddy Cannon Steps Out. 1963. Swan 511. Freddy Cannon. 1964. Warner Brothers. Records W1544. Action. 1965. Warner Brothers. Records W1612. Freddy Cannon's Greatest Hits. 1964. Warner Brothers. Records W1628. Have a Boom Boom Christmas. 2002. Gotham. Boom Boom Rock and Roll. The Best of Freddy Cannon. See also. List of rock and roll performers. List of Italian-American entertainers. List of acts who appeared on American Bandstand. List of guests appearing on the Midnight Special. Official website. Freddy Cannon on IMDb. Freddy Cannon at AllMusic.